Good morning and welcome to the show, and I have Dr. Roman Nations here in the studio this morning for our Medical Monday segment.
Good morning.
Happy New Year, Doctor. And,
Good morning, sir.
And welcome back. How was your holiday?
That was good.
Everything was great?
Yep. Right? Went back home to see family and got to do some riding around with my kiddos on some four-wheelers and stuff. So
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a good time, yeah.
That sounds like a good time. Now, I know we talk about a lot about health and wellness and
recreation.
Recreation.
Yeah.
Four-wheelers, not necessarily a real safe thing to do, is it?
No, not so much. No.
But it's in the world of risk management. I guess you can
if you
hedge your bets somehow.
Yeah, if you do it appropriately and you do it in a supervised fashion, you can minimize a lot of risk there. And in my view of things, if you don't take any risks, you never really have much progress. So
that's true.
You don't really get significant gains without taking risks in order to achieve those gains. But at the same time, if you do them stupidly, then that's how people get hurt. So
that's very true.
And statistically, ATVs are one of the most common sources of injury for young kids and adolescents, and most of the reason is because it's unsupervised or they're not protected enough, things like that. I mean, we grew up in an era where kids were riding motorcycles when they were 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah. Mini bikes. I remember mini bikes.
Yeah.
No helmets.
Yeah.
Who wore a helmet?
And now the manufacturers have to put on their little devices that nobody under the age of 16 should be operating one.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny. It's like, well, why do they make them that small then? If you're by the time they're 16, you put one on each foot, kind of thing. So they have to try and protect themselves with those caveats, because you do have a lot of folks that just hey, I think this is neat, so let me go buy my kid a motorcycle.
Yeah. You know what? All those Christmas presents that these kids got are now in action, and they're out there riding them or playing with them or doing whatever. So
and most of it goes back to the same. We've talked about that before as far as parental involvement. Is if your parents are involved and not just saying, okay, here you go, here's a shotgun for Christmas, Johnny. Go have fun with that kind of thing.
Don't shoot your eye out. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that happen like that, and we have. There was while I was in Las Vegas, there was a kid who was at a shooting range with his dad, and something happened, and the kid shot his own father.
Holy mackerel!
Right before the holidays, stuff
Jeez.
like that. So yeah, those activities are dangerous if you're not monitoring them appropriately.
Yeah. So it's all got to be age appropriate and all that. Now, another thing that the holidays bring, if anybody,
it's the weight.
the weight. And I know, here goes another New Year's resolution along with 100 other people.
Yep.
Saying, I got to do something. We all tend to overeat during the holidays.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and between the social pressures of oh, you got to try this. Oh, this is really good, and just the way that our bodies are wired to want to desire high caloric foods, like donuts and cookies and all those kinds of things. I mean, the whole social thing about leaving out cookies and milk for Santa.
Yeah, really.
And
you should leave them carrot sticks or something.
Yeah, they never talk.
Gatorade. I don't know.
something.
Because he is a little on the heavy side.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know if Santa Claus is diabetic or not. We don't have his lab work, so. Or if he's got chronic arthritis from carrying around all those toys.
Next time you should ask Santa to leave a blood sample where he lives, so you can help him out next year.
Yeah. But so there's a lot of social things there that still need to get modified and changed for people. But the holidays are what they are. So we spend a lot of time and effort with folks right after the holidays saying, okay, well, here we are at the beginning of the year. The holidays are done. Now what are we going to do?
I talk to people who own gyms, and if you go to a gym, you notice that the population of the gym increases.
Oh hugely in January.
January, February. I think they start to cull the herd somewhere around March, April time frame.
Yeah.
Do you see the same in your practice?
Lots.
People coming to see a dietitian or see JT or whomever.
Yeah, towards the end of the year, things were getting pretty sparse because folks were consciously saying, well, I've got to do this, and I've got to take this vacation, I've got to go visit with family, and I know I just can't eat right when I'm traveling. So I said, okay, well, we can set you up to start in January, because here in the fall, we know your lab work's abnormal. So if you want to medicate it, we can medicate it, or we can teach you how to eat a little bit better. And most folks are more willing and wanting to do that. It's just where the rubber meets the road, being able to do that once the time comes. So here we are at the beginning of the year, and it's time.
It is time. It's time to get serious about your diet and your exercise regimen. And let's talk more about that after the local weather.
Sure.
We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Roman Nation from Nation's Best Family Healthcare, and we're talking about your health and the new year.
Yes, sir.
And all of those resolutions we made on New Year, now's the time to stand and deliver. Isn't that right, Doc?
Something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you see a little more increase in your business now?
Well, I mean, we usually see folks that are coming in ahead of time. Most of the folks that are coming in from us are coming from other folks that have done really well.
You mean as in referrals?
Yeah, meaning that they've done well. One of our greatest success stories was a lady that we haven't done crazy diets. It's just been a matter of eating better and exercise. And there was a pair of them. There were friends that came in at the same time. And the one who started with us, she's lost 80 pounds in the last year.
Holy mackerel!
No diet pills.
Nothing extraordinary. No surgeries. Just.
Nope. Just
discipline,
what you're supposed to do, you know.
Portion control,
and
right
the thing
choices.
is, and she's like most people, where she we've been trying to get her on the show, but she can work out, but not as consistently as would be appropriate. You know, her colleague goes to the gym regularly, and she every day like clockwork. You know, she's a little more lax in the diet, but she does the exercise portion more consistently, and she's actually done better.
But, you know, whether you keep a steady schedule or not, it's always better to exercise, even if it's at an odd hour.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a work schedule that just doesn't allow you to get in at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have that problem where, you know, some days they work later, some days they work earlier, or they got kids issues to take care of and things like that. It really only takes 20 to 30 minutes, you know, and most people should be able to find 30 minutes of time at the end of the day. Before they put their head on the pillow in order to do that. So,
and then when you talk about 30 minutes of exercise, do we talk about 30 minutes of your max heart rate, or does that include your warm up and cool down?
Depends on the person, and it depends on age range and lots of other things. And mostly, it actually depends on your body's ability to tolerate it. So we have a lot of older patients that their workout is 20 minutes of walking every day. We have others where their workout is 30 minutes on the treadmill at a 15-degree incline. And there's a whole smattering of things in between. You know, if you want to get your body's ability to burn calories faster just by breathing, then you have to do strength training. And with strength training, we have lots and lots of women who get deathly afraid that, well, I don't want to get too big. You know,
it
is physically impossible to do that. But
it's just not a natural state to be that.
It isn't, no.
Huge.
And I mean, we can get you there. There's a handful of things that we can do to help, you know, augment that process. If for those that want to do that, they really want to get more defined and have more muscle definition and slim down, so they have that, you know, very low percentage of body fat. And those are possible. And it's decently hard to do, but not impossible. So it just takes a lot of discipline.
I mean, have you seen Madonna lately? I mean,
No,
she's
I
very
haven't.
stringy. She looks like she's made out of gristle now. You know, sorry,
Yeah.
Madonna, still love you, but she's
Like a virgin.
yeah, like a virgin. Still love you, Madonna. I mean, I hope that doesn't mean Thanksgiving is off again next year. But she looks very, very stringy and sinewy, and just over the top.
Well,
and I think women are afraid of that look too.
There is, and the thing that people got to realize is Photoshop plays a huge role in that, as far as the computer modifications of it. The second thing that plays a huge role in that is there are specific diets that they do right before they put them on camera, right before they put them in front of the camera. And that goes whether you're an exercise trainer or a competition person.
Or an actor.
Any of those things. Exactly.
You train for a part.
Exactly. And they have very specific needs to make your body look that way, but it can't look that way for very long because it's really unhealthy. Looks great on camera, but you know, after the fact, it doesn't take long. You take those same folks and you get them a couple days later, and all those things have softened up because all those cells have rehydrated themselves. You know, and it's not just in the professional bodybuilding realm that they do that kind of thing.
I mean, if you ever look at old photographs, like say from the Civil War, you know, people look very gaunt. You know, they look thin. They look kind of fit what people want to be today, but can't be.
No, people are mostly. There's a lot of folks that have, you know, they've rounded out here in the face, and you know, there's a bunch of reasons for that. A lot of it is what you're putting on your plate in front of your face. So
that's true. And not what you eat, but how much of it too.
Yeah, and we still do a lot of education with that and re-educating people, especially our diabetics. You know, the biggest tenet of what we do is a high protein content with a modest amount of carbohydrates and a small amount of fat. Anytime anybody tries to do the no carb diet or the no fat diet, you can get short-term results, but your body still needs those chemicals in order to perform correctly. So we put all three of those in there so that it does it the right way, so you're actually burning body fat while you're losing weight and not something else that your body will consume to meet its needs.
Dr. Nations, in a few seconds we have left, how can people get in touch with you, and how can we get on this, get a health assessment? And
we
get
got two different folks
diet?
that do nutrition therapy. There's JT and then there's Michelle, and they can contact our office. The phone number is 481-1101, like it's always been. And we got the two offices, the one in Lynn Haven and the one
on the beach now. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nation's Best Family Healthcare, Dr. Roman Nations, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Jay with Gears.
Hey, I'm Wesley.
You might recognize this from our show on Sunday nights at 9:30 here on Fox 28. We're glad and excited to be a part of the Waking Up with Don show. It's going to be a good situation. Anyway, Wesley has recently purchased a new 2014 13
Jeep Wrangler Sahara Unlimited.
What do you call it?
Better Cup. Yeah,
every
looks
car
better.
It's very important that you nickname your car.
Yeah, they're your
what-
babies.
Exactly. We're going to recommend that you do that, because if you do that, they become a member of your family, and you don't abuse members of your family like you abuse your car.
You gotta make sure they're fed and water.
Exactly. Well, the family you do. The car, you can't feed the car. Well, you feed it gas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like, don't you like?
One of the tips I want to give you with your new car is you're going to have choices at the pump. Regular and let it, medium grade, and then high grade. Some cars you put in the premium. It's a little more expensive, but you have to do it. In your case, I would go an 88 or 87% octane, which is the medium grade. It's just a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to tell you, it's worth the time. What that does is that keeps you from ever having to clean your injectors, things of that nature. Because believe it or not, preventive maintenance is better than maintenance. But another thing that's even more important than that is you have to nickname it. He calls his Buttercup wine.
Because my mama's number one thing, she said it looked like a butter, like a little stick of butter. But
It's yellow, so he called it Buttercup.
Yep.
Nickname is important. So that's this week's tech tip. We want to thank you folks for waking up with Don every morning, and we're excited that we are now a part of his family. So if you have any questions, give us a call here at Gears, 763-1308.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shores from, I always forget the name of your place.
Spine and Neuropain Specialist.
Spine and Neuropain Specialist. I've only known you for like 80 years. Spine and Neuropain Specialists.
Correct.
Right here in Panama City, and also in Chipley too, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, so Spine and Neuropain Specialists, as the name implies, you specialize in spine and neuropain.
Correct.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? Does it mean like if I have chronic pain, only people with chronic pain come to see you?
No, we see people with all different types of pain, new and old. I would say the majority of my practice is probably chronic pain, but we see people that have had, recent injuries, especially auto accidents or some sports-related injuries. So we do see folks with newer type pains, but we manage all comers.
Yeah, so what if you've got someone who's maybe had a hip replacement or something like that and it's still painful? I guess they would get a referral from their doctor to come and see you, or how does all that work?
Yeah, absolutely. They can get a referral and come see me. Sometimes the doctors who do the hip replacement, for example, are very comfortable managing them postoperatively, and sometimes they're not. So we try to help out wherever we can.
Dr. Shores, you hear a lot about pain clinics, particularly in the state of Florida, and they don't necessarily have a good reputation, all of them.
Correct.
Because there are some unscrupulous people out there, and the word pill mill comes to mind, and all treatment for pain doesn't necessarily mean a script, does it?
No, not at all. Yeah, and certainly pill mills around the state have certainly tarnished the impression for some folks about what we do. But our focus at our office is not to get people addicted to pain medication. Our focus is to use what we call a multidisciplinary approach to managing pain. In other words, some patients may need physical therapy, some folks may need some alternative measures, some folks may need some injections, some folks may need medication or narcotics. But the whole goal is to try to restore function and decrease the amount of medications that people are taking because I don't, nobody wants to be stuck on medications forever, and in some instances, if they don't have to be. So we do not try to get people just taking medications over and over forever.
What are some of those alternative therapies that you might use in lieu of drugs?
Yeah, so we look at physical therapy. We always look at the ergonomics of a situation. A lot of times, injuries we see are repetitive stress injuries, either from work or what people do around the home. We also have some treatments that are cutting edge. One is called platelet-rich plasma, which is a way we can use someone's own blood to help treat some of their conditions.
Yeah, and professional athletes do that too.
Correct, they absolutely do.
When they get an injury on the field, they have their own platelet-rich plasma that helps heal that injury quicker.
Absolutely, and there are some vitamins that are actually used to treat pain as well. And then, of course, we use traditional medications like anti-inflammatories and narcotics and those things when appropriate. But we try to provide a service that fits the individual's needs, as long as everybody agrees that it's safe and there's an end point in mind.
I guess you have some success stories too, where people have come in and maybe didn't know they had an underlying condition.
Correct. Yeah, and we certainly like to think that we're able to help folks and restore their function. Certainly some folks we're able to do that for, and unfortunately some conditions are never able to be completely resolved based on the type of condition they have. But we do try to do our best to restore the function and get people out there and participating in life, or going back to work, or those kind of things, so that they can, have a quality of life, which I think is very important.
Yeah, I think it is important, but I guess the best advice is to really take care of yourself, because particularly as Americans, when we get hurt, or hey, doc, fix me.
Right.
I haven't done anything to take care of myself. Now it's your job to get me better, which is a lot.
Right.
So I guess just staying fit and having a healthy lifestyle could preclude a lifetime of pain.
Well, certainly prevention, I think, is the best treatment in many instances, if that's possible. So certainly staying in good shape and exercising with moderation, with under physician guidance where appropriate. But unfortunately, that doesn't always work too. Some people do have accidents that happen that they didn't expect, and we got to try to adapt and help those folks do well also.
And I guess as we age, we start having our little problems too, like arthritis and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Arthritis definitely can cause some problems as we all get older.
Dr. Aaron Shores, how do we get in touch with you?
Well, you can contact my office here in Panama City at 850-763-8000, and we also have a website. You can contact us online. It's at www.spineandneuropain.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Dr. Aaron Shores, thanks for everything you do to keep us pain-free.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Thomas Winterman, who's a clinical counselor and author of The Thrive Life. Wonderful book, gives you tips on living, and if you're in a slump, it'll help you turn your life around. If you're not, it'll keep you on track. Thomas, thanks for coming on the show.
Sure.
You've been coming on and giving us weekly tips for the week. Now, what's a good tip for this week that we can take with us?
For this week is to be aware of your musts and your shoulds.
Musts and shoulds.
We all have these sort of rules ingrained in us from when we're kids. Sometimes it's from watching our parents, sometimes it's from what we were told, the way we were brought up, but there's these ideas that we have in our heads that things must be a certain way, or things should be a certain way. Things like family roles, what a husband should do, what a wife should do, what a person should do at work, what children should do, all these things that can get us stuck a little bit, that maybe somebody else has a different view. And we are being irrational about something that really isn't a big deal, and we don't know why it's so important to us.
So we're inculcated with certain roles growing up as what we think, how we should act in certain situations, or what a role should be in a family, or whatever.
That's right.
Now, that's a must to us, but it could be a should, right? I mean, couldn't you say, well, the dad must be the sole breadwinner? Well, maybe the dad should be the sole breadwinner, or maybe mom should be a breadwinner as well,
right.
Or there's a whole bunch of different things. That
Absolutely.
Kids must have chores. Well, maybe they should have chores, or
right.
So I kind of get what you're getting at there.
Right, and in a vacuum, it's okay for one person, but the problem is the conflict between opposing shoulds or opposing musts, because then it comes down to, what do you do? How do you fix this? Well, sometimes you have to negotiate. Sometimes you have to find some middle ground. And sometimes it's just a matter of being aware of your own shoulds and musts and where those come from and why they're important to you.
Some people have this ideal vision of the way things should be, and I think TV contributes to that too. I mean, you know, we should be like that family on TV. Look how
Right.
happy they are.
Right.
It's not real. I want to break it to you here first. TV's not real. And so that shouldn't be your gold standard on how you should live your life.
That's right.
How do you find out your musts and should? How do you discriminate between those two?
A lot of times you find them out the hard way. You react really strongly to something that really isn't that big of a deal, and that's when you have to do some introspection, ask yourself some tough questions. Why is this so important to me? Why do I have such a hard time handling this situation? And then really examine whether or not it's actually all that important.
So I guess the Thrive thought is to know the difference?
That's right.
Okay, so know the difference between musts and shoulds. And that's all negotiable, is what I'm hearing, isn't it?
Just about everything's negotiable. That's
Just about.
Just about,
As long
yeah.
as it's not illegal or immoral.
That's right.
Thomas Winterman, thank you so much for that Thrive tip for our week, and we'll see you next time.